Hello, we're back here on the Iver Johnson single shot shotgun in 20 gauge, and we're about ready to go back together with this. This is part 2 of this little series, and I guess there is going to be a part 3 of the finished product. First of all, I want to start off with stock. We did get the stock all reconditioned. We put epoxy down in here, we spread it out, put the epoxy in here with the syringe and filled in the cracks to where it was oozing out whenever we clamped it shut. Then we put the brass pins in here also with epoxy with kind of a press fit. So we've also got some of the holes and dents and parts where the wood is missing on it. I plan on using the original butt plate that came with it, which is homemade, but also I'm going to use a recoil pad with it, which has come off of a Harrington Richardson break open shotgun, and the screw holes all match up, and that would equate in that Harrington Richardson bog out Iver Johnson, so I can see why the screw holes would match up. Also, we've got the forearm reconditioned, epoxied, varnished. We used the Man of War Marine Spar varnish on this. This is one coat on both the forearm and the stock. Okay, so I want to give some pointers on going back together with this so you won't get frustrated. So on your forend and your forend spring plate and your plunger, you'll want to take that apart. And there's a pin here where you can take that apart, and you got your plunger. And this indexes onto your lug on your barrel, just like that. Goes in here like that, with 2 screws. You want to take that apart, get it cleaned out. This is part of the reason why the forearms sometimes get loose or they fall off altogether, and I've seen people wrap them with tape to keep them on. So this will help eliminate that. Also, we've got a layer of epoxy inside of the forearm to take up that space and keep it tight. Maybe that'll work. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure it will. If it doesn't, I've got other alternatives to do with it. So we've got that behind us. We've got the barrel cleaned up. One thing about the barrel, the spring back in here, well no, right here, on your extractor ejector, that will be kind of tricky to put back in and also to take out, so you want to be a little bit careful about that because it can get away from you. It's a tiny little coil spring about that tall and about 1/4 inch in diameter, so you want to be careful about not losing that. Also, we put a front bead sight on the barrel. The barrel had been cut off. The barrel overall length is 25 inches, or I think it was probably 26 inches. It had no front sight, so Brownells sells a front sight bead kit for shotguns. You get the correct drill bit and the correct tap and 2 brass beads along with it. We got the barrel blued with 1 coat of the Formula 4440 bluing, cold blue. Okay, now going back together on your receiver, on your on your snap lever here, one reason why a lot of these will not open up is because down in here where this spring goes for your snap, it goes underneath your snap lever locking lug, and here's how it goes. You see the shiny part? This will go right underneath your locking lug that keeps your barrel together along with the receiver. And the way this is curved, dirt and debris can get underneath of this. So that's one thing you want to look out for if this does not work. You don't want to force it, because you know, the link between your snap lever and your locking lug, you'll bend that, and they're pretty hard to replace and get back in there correctly. You got to fish around with a pair of needle nose pliers and a small screwdriver. So that's one thing to look out for. Also, we'll take this in order of going back together. Whenever you do take it apart, you want to go from your pins, you want to push them from right to left when coming apart. And then when going back together, you want to go from left to right, exactly the way they came out. Also, after you get your locking lug reinstalled and your snap lever working correctly, what you'll want to do is put your hammer in, and you'll want to put that in before you put your firing pin in. Otherwise your hammer will not drop in there. You need that clearance in there. Here's your firing pin. And don't be worried about getting it in there wrong. It only goes in there one way. There's also a spring behind it that's held captive in here. They're kind of a booger to get out. But you want to take that out to get all that dirt and debris out of there, so that everything will, your firing pin will protrude enough to fire your cartridge. We had a lot of debris in this gun, dirt, crud, and took a lot of scrubbing and blowing out with air and such. So anyway, get your hammer in first, then you can leave your firing pin in till last. We did find out that this model, even though it's a 1935, it does have a safety. Listen to this. You can hear that. And here is fully cocked. Even though we don't have the mainspring in or the mainspring strut, we've got that working correctly. It was all dirtied up. So then, after that, you'll want to put your trigger in. Now, on my trigger, the trigger pin, I had a little bit of a time getting it out, and you can see why. See how that's worn right in here where the trigger, for about 1/4 inch right there in the middle, where the trigger has been riding. You could feel the groove, and you could see it here on the camera, I'm sure. It's also kind of slightly horsebacked a little bit also. So the diameter of this is kind of oddball. It has between 3/32 and 7/64. So I took a 7/64 rod stock, cut it off, turn it down slightly in the drill press to get it the right size to push into here with kind of an interference fit so it fit tightly. So that's how you do that if you cannot get a trigger pin. We went in with the next you'll want to put in your trigger guard. We made this. This particular weapon came without a trigger guard. Then you'll want to put your trigger spring in here, and that's just a little leaf spring also for your trigger and your screw. And those are a little tough to get out and a little bit tough to put back in. I did not have the correct size of an offset screwdriver, nor did I have enough clearance for it to fit in. So I resorted to a high quality hacksaw blade and slipped it into the slot and then turned it out to get it out, and then also to put it back in. So that's all together now. Also, now you're ready to put your mainspring and your mainspring strut in. And this will go in here like that. And you've got 3 positions that you can put that in. You see these little grooves on the bottom and on the top. This particular one was set in the middle, and the hammer was pretty hard to pull back. I think I might try putting it in the 3rd position here to see if that would be a little easier for like a young person or a lady to pull the hammer back. Anyway, that's we brought you up to speed on this. My next hurdle to jump over is the locking bolt pin, which connects your receiver to your barrel group. And you can see on the sides here where it goes in why it's pretty battered up and beaten up. The pin's not in very good shape either, and I think I'll probably cut out some stock and make a new pin. It's 5/16 diameter, so that's a pretty common size. Last resort, I hope I don't have to machine this out to an oversize, which it takes, you know, some work to do. But anyway, when I got the shotgun, it was tight between the barrel and the receiver. No looseness up here between the breech and the barrel. But whenever you opened it up, that's when there's a little bit of noticeable looseness down there. And I want to take that out. I want to get it just as good as we can get it, and we'll get it. So that's the only thing that we really have to focus on now until you see this again. We'll get all back together, get the recoil pad back on, and get it shined up and polished. I may put another coat of bluing on it, I don't know. But anyway, that's how far we've got with it so far. And the next video you'll see the completed thing. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.